So in this brisket math that we're going to talk about today, we're going to combine a lot of different topics that we've already talked about, okay? One of the things we're going to talk about, you'll see, is our food cost percentage and our cost proportion. We're also going to utilize our yield factor, okay? And so on your piece of paper, I can't recall if I did this with your class or not, but we're going to do it right now just in case. Does this look somewhat familiar?
Yes.
Okay. So in this case, this is a completely different triangle. We're working with something different. So on the top is our edible portion, our EP, our edible portion. On the bottom is our as purchased and our yield percent. Okay, our yield percent. So edible portion, the same thing applies. We have the division line and the multiplication line. Okay. Essentially what happens is when we take a piece of meat like a brisket, we buy it 20 pounds. Do I get to serve 20 pounds of brisket?
No.
Why? What's going to happen?
You're going to lose some.
How do I lose it?
Shrinkage.
The fat. The fat melts. I need to trim it. Okay. Even when I'm slicing it, I'm probably going to lose some product as well. So that's how we can determine what amount of product we want to purchase, because most things have a standard yield percentage. Okay. So we're going to use this triangle in the class today. So here's our scenario. Chris's Bistro serves barbecue brisket. The as purchased cost of the brisket is $4.95 per pound. The yield factor is 55%. The standard serving size is 8 ounces. He sells the brisket for $16.95 per portion. That's a whole lot of words, is it not? Okay. Looking at that, you're like, oh my gosh, this is kind of overwhelming. So what I recommend that you do is right here on the margin right here, go ahead and write the things that you know. What's the first piece of information that we get? The as purchased cost is $4.95. So I cross that out and I put AP equals $4.95. Oops. $4.95 per pound. What's the next piece of information?
Yield.
The yield factor is 55%. So yield factor equals 55%. The next piece of information, our serving size is what? Okay, so that's our portion size. Serving size, portion size, those are interchangeable. And we want to serve 8-ounce servings. And the last thing is our selling price. $16.95. All right. Now, these 4 things right here, that's a whole lot easier to see than trying to read that sentence over and over and over again. Okay? So I encourage you to pull that information out and just put it into a list. And then that way it's a lot easier for you to see and to manage. Okay? So now we're going to work through questions 1 through 8. But remember, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually write the formula all the way out with words using no numbers. Okay? Well, we might use a couple numbers. And then what we'll actually do is then work the problem out so you can see it step by step right above each other. All right? Ready to go? Excellent. Okay, so my question is, how many portions are in a 12-pound brisket? So we know, bless you, we know that we're not going to get all 12 pounds of brisket out of that. Okay, so we have to apply the yield factor. So the first thing is, okay, write it exactly like this. As purchased weight times the yield factor percentage. That equals my edible portion in pounds. Okay, the edible portion in pounds. So now right below that, what is our as purchased weight? That's what it cost us $4.95 per pound. But what is our as purchased weight?
12.
A 12-pound brisket. Okay, right there in the question. What is it? Well, how many servings in a 12-pound brisket? So that's our weight is 12 pounds. Okay, that's what we bought. What is our yield factor percentage? 55%. Okay. So go ahead and calculate that. 12 times 0.55. Share the answer with your neighbors. See if you get the same thing. Alvia, what did you get? 6.6 pounds. Okay, 6.6 pounds. Now, what's the question asking? How many portions? How many servings? What is our portion size? 8 ounces. Do ounces and pounds match? So no, we have to do some kind of conversion. So let's go back up to our words up here. Okay, so we're going to multiply by what? Why 16, Taisha? Good, 16 ounces in a pound. So we're going to multiply by 16 ounces. And that's going to give us our edible portion. Now, our edible portion in ounces, we can simply just do a division. We can divide that by our serving size. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, let's go back down to our numbers. 6.6 pounds times our 16 ounces gives me 105.6 ounces. And now the last thing we do is we divide by our 8-ounce serving. Okay. And that gives me a total number of portions. Patricia, how many portions did we get? Go ahead and calculate that for me. You can use your calculator. The 105.6 ounces divided by our 8-ounce serving.
That'd be really?
No, because it's an 8-ounce serving.
Okay. 13.2.
13.2 servings. That is our final answer. So out of a 12-pound brisket, I'm actually going to get to serve 13 people, 8-ounce servings. Okay. Now, the chances of us only serving one brisket is pretty slim. If we're catering a large event, that 0.2 of that one brisket is going to add up. So every 5 briskets that I cook, I get an extra serving out of. So it's okay to do 13.2 as your number for servings. Okay, it's okay to do that. Any questions about that? All right, so we're going to move on to number 2. How much money in sales should he expect to bring in from a 12-pound brisket? Okay, so here's the number, here's the formula in word format, okay? We're going to take our selling price, and what are we going to do? Multiply it by the number of servings. Okay, we're going to use numbers for our letters and words for right now. So that way you know what to do when you go back, when you can change the numbers out. And that's going to get our total sales. All right, so now let's plug in our numbers. Marina, what's our selling price? $16.95 per portion. Okay, we're multiplying by how many servings, Victor? 13.2 servings. Caleb, what do we get? What's that? 223.74. Do we all agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, that's how much money we're going to get in for that if we sold all 13.2 servings.
One brisket.
$23.74. Now that's the sales, but remember we're going to talk about what it costs us to make that brisket. And then everything else from behind that, also we have the charcoal, the labor, the utilities of our business, all of those things have to come out of that $223.74. Okay, so that's just the cost that we should bring in if we charge $16.95 per plate. Okay, and this is just brisket. This is not talking about any kind of sides or anything. Okay, so questions about that one? That one's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Okay, number 3. What is the portion cost of the 12-pound brisket? Now I'm going to preface this with there's a way to use the as purchased cost and the the yield factor percentage to calculate what our cost per portion is, but I have an even easier way to do it. Okay, so in Word format, okay, we take, well, let me think about this for a minute. Okay, so our as purchase cost times the as purchase weight divided by the number of servings. Okay, the as purchase cost times the as purchase weight divided by the number of servings. Okay, so what is our as purchase cost? $4.95 per pound. We're going to multiply it by our 12-pound brisket. And then we divide it by our 13.2 servings. So what I would recommend is you go ahead and write everything out. Y'all remember back in math class where we wrote the whole thing out and then you do a little equal sign? Y'all remember this? So what's $4.95 times 12? $59.40. And then we divide that by our 13.2 servings. And Megan, what did you get? $4.50 is what it cost us to produce that brisket. Okay, that's our portion cost. I encourage you to do this step by step until it becomes second nature. All right, I've been doing this for so long that I can just type everything in my calculator without writing anything down. But if you're not at that point, this is brand new to you, write it down step by step, carry these steps over so that you can see where everything works and how everything goes, okay? Yes, sir, Victor.
Portion cost.
Yeah.
Explain to me what portion cost.
That's what it cost us to produce that one portion of brisket.
Is that like lights, water, and all that?
No, that's just the brisket. That's just the food. That's our food cost. Okay? So our food cost is $4.50 and our selling price is $16.95. The next question is what?
How much you got left?
What's our food cost percentage? We know food cost percentage.
Okay.
Do we not?
Yes.
Yes.
Remember we have our triangle here. Cost, percent, sales. So if we drew this triangle and put numbers in it, what is our cost? $4.50. We're looking for the percent, so we're going to leave that blank. And what is our selling price? $16.95. Okay, so we have our formula right here. We know this formula.
Divide 460 into 60.
Yep, that's how we get our food cost percentage. Nathan, what'd you get?
4.265. What would you round that up? No, you would.
26.5%. It's okay because 26.5, you can't round up to 27, and you don't want to round it down to 26. Remember, with percentages, it's okay to have one decimal place with percentages. Okay? Any questions, comments, concerns so far? Because once we get on to the next ones, we're looking at something completely different. Okay? So the first thing we did was decide. Arthur, go ahead.
The only question I had is the triangle that we did in the beginning.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to make sure. So like the EP would be the 13.2, right? And then the AP would be the 12 pound, and then the yield percentage is 55%, right?
The yield percentage is 55%. You're close. 55%. But what you said first, you said that the EP was 13.2 and the as purchased was 12. But your units aren't the same. Okay? You have 13.2 portions, but you have 12 pounds. So you can't say that 13.2 is, yes, if we said 13.2 servings is the edible portions from a 12-pound brisket, but you can't use those two numbers to get 55%.
Okay.
You're going to see how we do that here in just one moment. Okay? But you're thinking along the right lines. 26.5% is our food cost percentage, okay? So what I want to do real quick, I want you to look at your neighbor's paper, and your neighbor's paper should have all the words and all the numbers. If it does, give me a thumbs up. If it does not, give me a thumbs down. It's time to call out your neighbors for not working the way they need to be. I'll make sure I see all thumbs up before we move on. All right. Okay. Because if you go home, the moment you walk out this door, when you all go home, your homework assignment that's due on Tuesday is to create a whole problem of your own using your own numbers. And you're going to bring it all worked out and bring it to me. That's what your homework is over the weekend, to come on Tuesday with that prepared, ready to go. All right? So I want to make sure that you are familiar with everything, that you have everything the way you need to have it, okay? All right, so we start with the number of servings, and we multiply by the serving size, and then that is our edible portion in ounces. We divide by our yield factor percentage, so that we can figure out how much we need to order. We're going to lose some in process. So our servings was 250. Times 8 ounces gives me 2,000 ounces. Okay? We divide by our yield factor percentage of 55%. And we get 3,636.36 ounces. Okay? So now this is where we come into play, where we need to, this equals our edible portion in ounces. And we divide by our 16 ounces to get our EP pounds. Okay? So now we divide by our 16 ounces, and I need to get 227.3 pounds of brisket, okay? 223.7 pounds is what I have to order in order to have enough brisket to serve, okay?
So we're not done yet, right?
Now we're done. I'm not going to move on. I'm not going to move on yet. Okay? So now we're done. Because we actually utilized the yield percentage. Okay? The other way before, I forgot the yield percentage. So what was the weight?
We got down to 125.
Yeah.
So I divided that by 55%.
Yeah, so because it's division, it will work out. So if we had gone to 125 and divide that by 0.55, we would have gotten to 227.3 pounds. But what I like to do is I like to do the yield percentage first. I like to do it right here first, because oftentimes, just like I did, I divided by 16 ounces and I was like, ooh, I got to pounds, there's my answer. And so if you divide by the yield factor first, you don't get that pounds until the very end, right? Because once I got to pounds, I was like, ooh, I got the right answer, I'm moving on. You'll make the same mistake as well. So if you, bless you, if you will do this yield factor first, right here, in this step, and then do any conversions that you need to do. Okay, don't do the conversions yet until the very end. Does that make sense? Thank you for bringing that up. All right, was that maybe your question? Maybe that's what you were getting thrown off by? Possibly?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for catching that. All right, so now we booked that party for $250. What is the total cost of the brisket? So this one is kind of simple. We do our as purchased cost times the number of pounds needed. That's super easy. That equals our total cost. Okay. So in numerical form, what is our as purchased cost per pound? $4.95 per pound. And we need how much? 227.3 pounds from that previous answer. $1,125.14. That's a lot of money on brisket. But you're feeding 250 people. Okay? This is not a question that's on here. I'm going to write it down here right below. This is just kind of a little FYI, little other piece of information. Because a lot of times people see 1,125, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. But if we're selling that for $16.95 per portion times 250 portions,
We get like.
what do we get?
Like,
$4,237.50. That's our sales. Okay, that's what our client would pay. Our client would pay us $4,237.50, and then we would turn around and pay Cisco $1,125.14 for the actual brisket. Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
So, I mean, you think about it, that 1,125 seems like a big number, but when you compare that to the sales of 4,237, now of course, we take that 1,125 out of that 4,237, and then we also have to pay our rent, pay our team members, we have to pay all those different bills. What's that? Well, the side dishes may or may not be part of that $16.95. Okay, it may just be that the brisket $6.95, and if you want a side dish, it's going to be so much per person as well. So, depending on how you do your catering. In this case, we're just talking brisket. Okay, and to your point, Josie, if we did sides, let's say our sides were $3 a side. Well, then we would charge the client, $19.95. So that's we can either put it in as a big package, or you can do it individually. Okay. If you do it individually, it lends itself to a little bit more flexibility in the menu, right? Because green beans are not going to be as expensive as mac and cheese or They're really well, coleslaw is really inexpensive, right? Potato salad, yeah, no, it's great, but if you can either have it be a standard side dish, or you can say if you want coleslaw, it's going to be this much. If you want mac and cheese, it'll be this much. It might help you be a little bit more control of the costs. Or if you just flat out charge for the sides, whatever your most expensive side is, like let's say your most expensive side is mac and cheese, because the cheese you use 7 different types of cheeses, okay? I mean, it's the best mac and cheese in the world. So if that's the case, then you might charge that higher price for everything, and then if you sell someone on coleslaw and green beans, then you're making a whole lot of more money than if you were selling them on the mac and cheese, okay? So you can do that to have that flat price. All right. So this one, number 7 and number 8 are just like 5 and 6. It's just that when we cater something, we rarely produce just the right amount. Okay? If I have 250 servings, I'm not going to only produce 250 servings. I'm going to do a little bit extra. Okay? And the bigger the number of guests, the smaller the percentage that we go over. Okay? I can't just say always do a 10% overage. Because in this case, with 250, how many extra servings am I doing? 25 extra servings. If I'm doing an event for 25,000, that's a lot. Actually, that's excessive. If I'm doing an event for 2,000 people, okay? If I'm doing an event for 2,000 people, that's an extra 200 servings. So you can't just say it's a flat percentage overage, because the larger the number, the smaller that percentage goes. The smaller that percentage gets. Because there's no need to do 200 extra servings when you've got 2,000 people coming, okay? If it's a catered event that you have a guarantee, just do a little bit extra. You might be able to use that to feed your staff. You might be able to use that for people who don't RSVP. Don't ever be one of those people and just show up and be like, oh yeah, there's going to be food for me. I'm so sorry, there's no food. So sorry, you don't have a wristband? No, I'm so sorry. Yes.
There's also times when, we did, Leslie and Angel and I would do something for my brother for their Sweet 16.
Uh-huh.
I told you about
Yeah.
So a lot of people didn't show up, and we did have a lot of food. We cost out everything to the amount that he said, 150 people.
Yeah.
We made 10% more.
Exactly. So there always is going to be people that don't show up. There's people that do show up. So it usually is a wash, but always to just be on the safe side. Like you said, do a little bit percentage overage. And then if it's over, well, if you had planned to, yeah, they got to take the food home. Good. Or if if your staff is going to eat spaghetti and meatballs because that's cheaper than the filet mignon that you're serving to the guests, well, the guests didn't show up, the food was prepared, your staff might get to eat filet mignon that night, okay? Or depending on what the arrangement is. The ranch where I worked, the client would sign a release, and then they would take the food home with them if they wanted. If not, then we would donate it to a local shelter. But they would sign that release in order for them to take it off property, saying that they were going to follow the proper food sanitation, temperatures, things like that, just to protect the ranch from somebody who waking up after a night of partying at the wedding and forgot to put the ribs in the fridge, and they're like, I'm going to eat these ribs at 12 hours later. You just never know. That potato salad looks real good right now. Hangover cure, I don't know. But that release would definitely protect the ranch or the caterer from that, because the guest is saying that they're taking responsibility of that. Yes, Jill.
How were you able to donate it?
I don't remember. I was never a part of that. I was never a part of that process. Yeah, I never took it over there, but yeah, I'm not sure how they did that. Did you have a question, Victor? Oh, I thought I saw your hand. Okay, so let's do this real quick, okay? So we want to plan for a 10% overage. There's 2 ways we can do this, remember? What's the first way? 250 times 0.1 gives me 25 guests. And now I have to add my original 250 to get 275 guests. Okay? What's my shortcut? 250. Sorry, that looks horrible. I need to sit down to have a better angle. 250 times 1.1 gives me 275. Okay? Because this 1 right here takes care of the 250. So this 1 right here takes care of the 250 right over here. And this 0.1 is the 25. So remember, if you're going to increase by 10%, you add that to 1 and multiply it. So 1.1. Okay? If this step right here, this little shortcut, is not clicking and not jiving with you, then just do it this way. You first have to multiply 250 by 10% and then add it to the original number. Do that. If that makes sense to you, do it. I'm just offering this as a little, whatever, if you want to use it. Okay? So now, how many pounds will he need to do 275 guests? I'm not going to write out the words again on this one, but we start with the 275. Oh, just kidding. Yeah, 275 guests. And this time we do 8 ounces again, our 8-ounce serving. Then we have 2,200. Of course, we could just add 10% to that 2,000 as well if we wanted to, but we're going to work it out all the way just to be safe. What's the next step? We have our 2,200 ounces. What do we do next? Our yield factor, not 16 yet. Remember, we want to do our yield factor first and then convert it. So our conversions are at the very end. Yep, so 2,200 divided by 0.55 gives me 4,000 ounces, and now we convert it by dividing it by 16 ounces. It's okay, this is a recording. You can go back and rewatch it. That's why I do it, so you can go back and rewatch it as many times as you want to. Okay? So we have 275 guests times our 8-ounce serving gives us our 2,200 ounces. That is 2,200 ounces that we need to actually slice up and serve. Okay? That's why we have to apply that yield factor, because then you're gonna have shrinkage. We're gonna lose product. Okay? And so if we did that, if we didn't use that yield factor, then we would come up way short. Edgar, do you have a question? Did I do it wrong again?
No, could we just use the pounds we got from the last time that you...
You absolutely can. You can. You can just increase it by 10% doing that way, the answer. But this is just a way for you to work out that problem again and practice those steps. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns about this? The last question is, how much will it cost Chris to buy the 275 servings? So how many pounds did we need? We need 250 pounds, and we multiply that by our as purchased cost per pound, $4.95.
So in terms of the cost, are you also able to do the same thing, to multiply the last cost by 1.1?
I'm not sure. Let's try it. It's gonna be off by a little bit because I got 1,237 and 65 cents. Because it's probably because of all the decimals and rounding.
Yeah.
So go ahead and just do your previous answer, 250 pounds. times the 495 per pound. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns with this?
So, one more.
Yeah?
Okay. Could we have done just the 25 extra pounds and didn't just add it? I think that's what he just said.
You could have. You could have taken 25 pounds times 495. Well, hold on. Let me back up for a minute.
Divided by
The original one was how many pounds were we buying?
227.
227. So it would be actually a difference of 23 pounds, not 25 pounds. Okay? We increased by 25 servings, but not 25 pounds. Okay? So we increased by 23 pounds, not 25 pounds. But you can take that 227, was it 227.3, right?
Yes.
227.3 and do that by 1.1 and you should get pretty close to 250. Yeah. You need that original weight with a 10% increase. You can do that. Questions about this? Is it as terrifying as you thought it was going to be?
Once you get the formulas.
Okay, once you get the formulas, it does. It becomes practice, okay? It becomes second nature. So, here's what's going to happen. You all are going to create your own scenarios, your own brisket scenarios, okay? We are going to all use a 20-pound brisket. So anywhere that says 12, and don't worry, I'm going to give you a sheet that has little blank lines, so you can just fill in the blanks, okay? I'm just telling you about it right now. Everywhere that it says 12, it's going to be 20 pounds. So everyone's using 20-pound briskets, okay? But everything at the top, the as purchase cost, the yield percentage, the serving size, the selling amount, all of that's going to come numbers that you're going to just make up. Okay, and then you're going to practice. You're going to work out every single step on these problems. And you're going to bring it to back. You're going to bring that to class printed out, or it can all be handwritten. That's fine. I don't care. You don't have to print out the actual document. But what I do want to see is I'm going to show you this. I'm going to stop the video.